We are keeping an eye on different counties, and we are joined live by reporter Jay Shakur. He is with the ABC affiliate in Cincinnati covering Northern Kentucky, WCPO television. We thank Jay so much for joining us. Jay, we are watching election results that are so thin, but Ed Gallrein in the lead so far. What's the mood in that headquarters? I imagine you are prepared for a long night there in Northern Kentucky.
That's right. I'm definitely prepared for a long night here in Northern Kentucky. Listening to staffers talk, they think it's going to be on the shorter side here. The room is electric. It's full of people here. This is just one of two spaces that's dedicated to supporters of Massie as they watch these election results come in. Massie, I talked to him yesterday at one of his stops here in Northern Kentucky, and he was very confident in this race. He talked about his record. He talked about his connection to voters, 14 years serving Kentucky District 4. He talks about the connection, the trust they have, and he repeatedly called his opponent, Ed Gallrein, a rubber stamp for D.C. And so he's very hopeful here that he can actually win this, an election or race where literally the eyes of the country are watching this election. Doug?
Jay, you know that area so well. You know, I've been following your coverage at WCPO the last several days, and I've been seeing interviews pop up with both Ed Gallrein and Thomas Massie. Where can you pinpoint it? Where did Massie's support finally erode in the end? Could you all sense it? What did it happen in the last week, 2 weeks? Can you pinpoint a change there?
I can't pinpoint a change that recent. Talking to voters, a lot of their disdain or their breaking away from Massie came from his vote against the One Big Beautiful Bill. That was really the signature piece of legislation in President Trump's second term that had a lot of items that Republican voters, supporters of President Trump wanted. And they saw that vote, talking to voters, they saw that vote as an outright rejection of the Trump agenda. Although Massie countered that saying, you know, I vote 90% with the party, 90% with the Republican Party, with the president. However, on the 10%, I disagree. I'm going to stand by my principles. So I think that was the linchpin, talking to voters, where they say, you know what, we probably want to look elsewhere for someone to represent us. It's not the case for all voters, obviously, but that, I think, talking to them, that was the big piece.
Jay, I'm sort of fascinated where you're actually standing. Can you paint the room for us? I know a lot of national media came in. I mean, how many national reporters are you seeing? I know we had heard at one point that we're making room for 40 plus. What is the crush of attention like where you were standing there in the Massie headquarters?
Definitely. I'll let Eric, my full talk, show you this room here. Massive in terms of press. The crowd, as I said, is large. We're here at the Marriott near CVG, the Cincinnati airport, here in Northern Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati. You see tons of people. Again, this is just one of two rooms. Again, the energy is electric. People are excited. Voters are excited. They're optimistic. They're going in with their heads held high. And as you probably saw, there are tons of media from across the country here covering this race. A race that you think would be local has obviously made national attention given President's outright disdain for incumbent Massie.
And, you know, you saw that back and forth going just before we even went on the air at 6:30 tonight. Jay, talk to us about, we heard so much about the unique voter in that district, that they'll vote for Donald Trump, but they'll also vote for Thomas Massie. What is that unique grip he's had on that district over all these years since being elected in 2012?
Definitely. I think a lot of it comes from his history in politics. He was judge executive in one of the rural counties here, and so he has a long history with the voters. He's a farmer. That's a special connection to a lot of parts of Northern Kentucky and Kentucky voters. So I think it comes back to his history, 14 years of not only serving them, but beyond that on the federal level, locally here. Talking to a voter yesterday, I asked about that, you know, do you still support the president, although he's not backing your congressman that you would like to be elected? And they do. They do support the president. However, they feel, in the words of one lady, he's wrong on this one.
Is Massie viewed as a congressman, Jay, who brought a lot back back to the district, who brought a lot of largesse back to the district. You know, we have Senator Mitch McConnell wrapping up a 41-year career here, who is just widely known for bringing back billions of dollars to the district. Does Massie have that reputation up there?
I wouldn't say Massie's reputation is quite as extensive as Senator McConnell's, but he does again have that connection with farmers. He has that connection with those who do that type of labor, that type of work. I think his connection is more so standing out, giving Kentucky District 4 a voice, essentially putting Kentucky District 4 on the national stage, in the national dialogue. So I think that is what a lot of voters are talking to them. That's what they appreciate about Massie. Not necessarily, you know, the largesse that you get back in terms of dollars and the pork that is in bills that are passed in Congress, but more so what he's done for the reputation and showing that in Massie's words and in voters' words, you can't buy Kentucky District 4.
I got one more question for you, Jay. You did excellent reporting. Again, Jay Shakur joining us from WCPO, the ABC station in Cincinnati. We thank you so much for your perspective. Now, tell me about Boone County. We're getting ready to go to our election headquarters here to focus in on Boone County. Why is that such an important county for Thomas Massie to win?
Definitely. Here in Boone County, you have a big, huge Trump support here. This Northern Kentucky in general, but particularly here in this county, Trump won Massie's district, I believe, by 32 points in 2024. So it's a strongly supportive district for the president. And so coming up against that, dealing with that, and being, you know, on the opposite end of the president's ire, it makes this interesting, particularly here in Boone County, given the president won this district by such large margins.
All right, Jay, thanks again. We're going to come back to you through the evening and tell that Connor Steffen, a WHAS 11 alum, we're keeping an eye on him, and keep up the good work up there. Y'all have got a great team. All right.